Welcome aboard bus 457. My name is Sarah Rethwish, and this is my 8th year working as a tour guide for the Webster County 4-Hers. Today, I'm going to take you all on a tour through 4 of China's impeccable cities and past some of their wonderful landmarks that I got to see when I went there this past summer. The cities that we will be visiting today include Beijing, Changsha, Xi'an, and Shanghai. With that, I ask that you sit back and relax and enjoy our tour through my Chinese expedition. We are in Beijing, home of the Forbidden City and part of the Great Wall of China. It is a wonderful place to learn about symbolism and deep-rooted beliefs that every Chinese citizen holds close to heart. With that, if you look off to your right, you will notice that we are approaching the Forbidden City. The Forbidden City, or Imperial Palace, was home to the Emperor between 1643 and 1911, when China's monarchy system collapsed. Up to this time, commoners were not allowed to enter the city's gates, and if they did, there was no turning back. Today, though, visitors are welcome to come and see the 9,999 uniquely colored rooms. The red paint was chosen to represent the Emperor's luck, while the gold, his imperial power. The most important building in the Forbidden City is the Hall of Supreme Harmony, and to make sure that every citizen is aware of this, the elaborate roof is made up of 10 different layers, and with animals sitting on each tier. These animals keep guard over the city and make sure that no bad spirits enter the city's gates. Throughout the city, you will also notice numerous dragons. Each of these have 5 claws and a pearl in their mouth. In China, a dragon holds a pearl to represent a man's power. If the man would lose the pearl, he is said to have lost his power. In the same way, if the massive pearl hanging over the emperor's bed would have fallen, he would have been immediately executed for faking his imperial power. In the same way, commoners would have been killed for suggesting that they were equal power with the emperor if they had a home with more tiers or a dragon with more claws. Our next stop is the Great Wall of China. This massive stone structure was built by locals, criminals, soldiers, and other prisoners to create this fascinating structure. It was designed to protect China from invasion and to help unify the Chinese culture from foreign influence. As many people died climbing the massive mountain, many Chinese believe that to be a true hero, you must also climb the mountain and stand on the Great Wall of China at least once during your lifetime. Much of this impressive structure has eroded over the years. But recently, archaeologists have discovered that it is not one, but numerous walls running in a parallel-like fashion. Originally thought to be 5,500 miles long, archaeologists have recently discovered that it is really 13,173 miles of impressive fortification, including the areas that have eroded. Our next stop is the wonderful city of Changsha, where I will introduce you to one of China's greatest celebrities and their educational system. Due to large population of China, there has been a large issue with food shortages until Yan Lanping discovered a way to produce high-yielding hybrid rice. He was awarded the World Food Prize in 2004 for his discovery. Here at the Lanping High-Tech Factory, they produce experimental rice, put it through scientific tests, package it, and send it to their numerous customers. Lanping is hoping to come up with a way to continue to increase the nutritional value of rice to reduce malnutrition throughout the whole entire world. Despite his discoveries, he refuses to receive better wages or better treatment. All the same, whenever he goes out into public, people swarm him wanting photos with their hero. Our next stop, off to your left, is the Shengsha Tongshenghu International Experimental School. Students can be accepted here as young as the age of 5, from which point they hardly ever see their family. Their typical school day starts at 7 in the morning and goes until 10 at night, with breaks around noon for their noon nap and lunch, and a break around 5:30 for supper and shower. They complete their day with a tutor from 7 until 10, learning any other essential lessons and completing homework. As none of their homework is done in a school setting, their 8-bed bedrooms do not have any workstations or desks. Due to the one-child policy in China, there's a lot of weight put upon the child's shoulders to grandly carry on the family name. For this reason, free time is not typically spent playing games, but rather studying, as they would here in this library. The fear of not being accepted into college is so deeply embodied in them that they fear time spent playing games is time that their best friend might earn the opportunity to go to college instead of them. Our next stop is the city of Xi'an, home of the terracotta warriors and the Chinese Muslim market. You will likely notice that the atmosphere is very welcoming. During the Qing dynasty, China expanded its borders and united a lot of enemies under one flag. However, when their emperor, Qing Shi Huang, died, numerous revolts occurred, leading up to the destruction of the clay warriors that had been created to protect his tomb during his afterlife. The 8,000 warriors were then forgotten about until a farmer came across the head of one of these warriors while digging a well. Today, if we are lucky, we may come across the illiterate farmer signing books others have written about his discoveries here at the Terracotta Museum. The 2,000 clay figures have been discovered in the battle attire they would have worn during this dynasty. Archaeologists are slowly piecing back together these clay figures and returning them to the positions where they once stood guarding the tomb. As none of the figures are exactly alike, many believe that these are based off of true men from the Qing dynasty. For those of you that would like to learn a little bit more about the Chinese culture, I would recommend getting out your wallet at our next stop, the Chinese Muslim market. Here, trade dates back to the silk trading route where people from the Mid-East and Asia came to trade. This rich history of trade is still evident as they have everything from hard-to-find souvenirs to delicious snacks. Vendors typically up the price a lot more for American tourists than they do their Chinese friends. So don't be afraid to walk away. They always want a sale and will typically drop the price quite drastically simply to retain the sale and your attention. For those of you that are tired of the hustle and bustle of the streets, I would also recommend that you visit their mosque. It is a great place to examine their architecture and rest your feet if you so please. The last city that we shall be visiting is the lovely city of Shanghai, where we will get to experience some of their architecture and heavenly silk. It is a wonderful place full of diverse people and diverse buildings. The Bund, which means money embankment, is truly a gorgeous portion of the city. It was originally a small town until it became an open port. At this time, it grew into a vast city overnight, but the most popular location to purchase land was along the Bund. Property there went for as much as 1,000 pieces of gold per square inch. The Gothic, Baroque, Romanesque, Renaissance, and Chinese architecture is still prevalent there today. The Bund is truly a wonderful place for people to exercise in the morning, tourists to visit by day, and lovers to walk along the Humpu River at night. In essence, it has a little bit of everything for everyone. Our last stop, but certainly not the least, is the silk factory, where we will get to watch as they use silkworms to produce fascinating and fabulous fabrics. This form of observation was not always allowed though. In fact, they managed to keep the source of silk a secret for over 2,000 years by killing anyone who ever tried to give away the source of their fabulous silk. Today though, they feed mulberry leaves to silkworms until they produce their cocoons, at which point they cook or boil the cocoon so that they do not emerge and break the thread. Each individual cocoon can produce up to 3,000 feet of thread, which is unraveled on a reeling machine. For twin cocoons, they soak them in water and stretch it over a tool as seen here. This is then used for the fluffy stuffing inside of your quilts. As silk is very similar to hair, they recommend that you wash it in water colder than 80 degrees Fahrenheit with shampoo so that you get the most long-lasting silk possible. As we have visited all 4 cities today, Beijing, Changsha, Xi'an, and Shanghai, I guess it is time that you start thinking about heading back to America. I hope that you enjoyed your tour today through the Forbidden City, the Great Wall of China, Lonping High-Tech Factory, Changsha Tongshenhu International Experimental School, the Terracotta Warriors, Chinese Muslim Market, the buns, and of course, the silk factory. I got my information from the following resources along with my own personal experiences. All photos in this presentation I took when I went to China with the Global Youth Excellence Program last summer. For those of you that would like to see more photos, read some of my journal entries, or just find out some more fun facts about China, I highly recommend that you visit my website at www.mychinesetravels.webs.com. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope that you have enjoyed our tour on bus 457 today. Zai Jia. Are there any questions?
Did you learn any of the language before you went?
The question was, did I learn any of the language before I went? They honestly didn't recommend it because so many of them know English very thoroughly. They start learning English at the age of 5. We had a Chinese student that joined our bus for one day, and I felt like she was more fluent in English than I was. The question was who sponsored the group. It was actually through the 4-H Extension Office, the Farmers Bureau, and the Soybean Organization.
How long were you there?
I was in China for 10 days, 2 of which were flights, but yeah.
I'm confused on the Forbidden City. Forbidden City is not actually the whole city, it's just part of the city.
The Forbidden City, the question is the Forbidden City a whole city, or is it just an individual city? It is actually like an inner part to their city, so it is not a whole city. No.
So when you talk about people going in, and they were there, what happened?
The question was when people go in and were there, what happened to them? If they were allowed in as commoners, it was typically to be a wife of the emperor, but otherwise there was really no reason that they would even allow you into the city.
You said they went in,
yeah, they would not leave at that point. If they became a wife, they would stay there till they died.
the man that developed food, or the one that is that food available to common people?
The question is the plan to make food more abundant. Is it available to the common people? I believe that it is. He's created a way to produce more rice, and it's being used across the country.
Purchase
Yes.
Who actually made the terracotta warriors?
The question was, who made the terracotta warriors? They were just artists from the Qing dynasty that worked for the emperor.
And nobody objected to you taking pictures?
The question was, did anyone object to me taking pictures? No, they know where their money comes from is the tourists, and in fact, sometimes they swarm us, all the Chinese students wanting pictures with an American, and so it was fun.
So you felt welcome?
Yes, I felt very welcome in China. In fact, I was impressed by their technology. It was in some places even more advanced, I felt, than here.
They haven't modernized their silkworm production.
Not really, no. Are there any other questions? Yes?
Somewhere you'd like to live someday or study over there?
The question was, would I like to live there or study there someday? I would most definitely enjoy that. I think it would be a very unique opportunity. Are there any other questions? If none, this concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.